Game on. Time to talk some pigskin. With me tonight, fixing to be on the channel, John McClain, sports writer, legend extraordinaire, covering the Houston Oilers, the Houston Texans, the Houston Aeros back in the WHA days. Recipient of the 2006 Bill Nunn Memorial Award. That plaque is hanging in the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame. 2015 Texas Gridiron Legend. 2019 Texas Sports Hall of Fame inductee. He's on the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Seniors Committee, the Texas Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee, Baylor University graduate with Distinguished Alumni Award from the Baylor Line Foundation. You've seen him in these movies, The Rookie, The Longest Yard, Secretariat, Invincible, The Game Plan, and his favorite, Spring Breakers. He's the judge. Let's welcome our friend back to the channel, John McClain. Hello, John.
Scott, you trying to get people to change your channel?
Oh, no.
Put them to sleep with that long introduction?
It was a little long.
It was. I tell people, I usually ask them, if you don't mind, just say, I'm in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. But if they want to talk about movies, I'm happy to do that too.
Right. Well, we'll do that. We did that last time, so I figured we'd do something a little different this time. And we've got some interesting dates coming up. August 29th, College Week 0. September 9th, we kick it off with the Patriots and the Seahawks. Is that right? Patriots, Seahawks. First game of the season. Maybe it's Eagles. I don't know. It's some bird. And then the Texans kick it off on September 13th. So pretty excited about that. Here at home versus Buffalo. Which I was kind of disappointed that we didn't have a Buffalo away game to where we get to go to see their new stadium.
Let me tell you, if they had a choice of going to Orchard Park, New York, or Kirby Drive, they're going to take Kirby Drive any day of the week because they've beaten the Bills here the last 2 years, dominated Josh Allen last season, forced him into the worst game of his career the year before that. And the last time they went to Buffalo, they got crushed in terrible weather, but Davis Mills was the starting quarterback. So they're starting right where they want to start, and that is at Reliance Stadium.
Home crowd's the best crowd. And I got my little Montgomery towel, thanks to my friends at Xfinity, gave me a little Texans towel. It's a red Montgomery towel. I like it anyway. So any surprises, just in general? We can talk just Texans. We can talk in general. Any surprises for preseason this year? Things that really caught your eye, good, bad, indifferent?
Scott, this is my 50th year covering the NFL, and I don't see anything in preseason that has anything to do with regular season unless it's injuries. Now, new coaches taking over with new systems, new coordinators. They need preseason more, but it's got to be such a sham. Players don't play. I know I sound like a dinosaur here, but when my first training camp in 77, and they played six preseason games, and camp was 9 weeks long. First week was for rookies. The next 8 were for the players. It was a lot different. They did double days, full contact, started full contact the first day of training camp. And now they don't hit and take people to the ground in training camp. They don't have double days. They do a lot of walkthrough on the second practice of the day. Most of it is mental, but the new teams, new coaches, they needed more, and it's almost a waste. People paying money for preseason games as part of their package, season ticket package, is such a ripoff, and I don't blame people for doing it. I used to have season tickets as well, but I know in Nashville everybody's panicking because the Titans have not been very good in preseason. I do a weekly show up there, and I told them the same thing I just told you. I said, maybe what we're seeing is a sign of what's to come. It's not a very good team, not going to be a good team this year. It was a bad team last year. All you want to do is see improvement. Texans, of course, losing Jaden Higgins, but I thought Kayshon Boutte coming in here with a trade for Jalen Reed, second-year safety, and a 7th-round pick from New Orleans, and 2028 is a great deal. Booty is hungry. Last year of his contract makes $3.67 million, and Booty kicked the Texans' booty in the playoff. Had that great touchdown catch. He's auditioning now every game of the week for a new contract, and that's great to get a player who's hungry and wants to produce, who was buried on the depth chart, and he won't be buried on this one. That's the best thing I've seen out of the Texans training camp.
I saw they just signed 3 new players, 2 receivers, and a running back the other day. Any thoughts on those 3?
No.
Okay.
Zay Jones and Sterling.
Journeyman.
Yeah, they're journeyman. Jones coming off from that injury. Now, Deuce Vaughn, they got injuries in the backfield. So that's why they signed Deuce Vaughn. I'll be surprised if he makes the team. But they've got every backup running back is injured. You have David Montgomery. You have Woody Marks. You have a game in which you don't want to play them. And so you need guys off the street. Deuce Vaughn may carry the ball 15 times. But he's auditioning as well. So that's why they signed him. That's why they signed extra receivers. They don't want to play their starters. They don't even want to play their key backups. I think I was telling Matt Burke, defensive coordinator, after practice today, I said, I'm not so sure I wouldn't hold out every defensive starter from the joint practice and let them watch in Carolina.
Right. What do you think about the joint practices? I mean, they've been around for a while. I mean, is that also just a show-off show, or, I mean?
No, coaches love them, Scott, because they can control everything. Quarterbacks don't get hit. Now, we saw Jaden Higgins go down untouched in the back of the end zone for the season. Seems to be a lot of torn ACLs going back to the start of camp around the NFL. And I think when they go to 18 games, 2 preseason games, you'll see teams add an extra joint practice. And one of the things I always liked watching joint practices was when the offensive and defensive linemen, before they start going 11 on 11, they would go down in a corner and go against each other. And when J.J. Watt was here, and J.J. was at practice today, but when J.J. was here, watching him rush against offensive linemen from other teams on one-on-one drills, they were so frustrated. Sometimes they'd start fighting because they just couldn't beat him. He's going full speed all the time, and I miss that. And but yeah, coaches get a lot out of joint practices. Jeff Fisher told me one time when he was at the Titans, he said it wouldn't bother me at all if we had 1 preseason game and the rest joint practices. It's the teams you want to look at. You want to look in preseason in your joint practices. You want to look at new players, young players, guys coming off major injuries from last season, and you want to make sure players have the right assignment, especially the new guys and the young guys. That's what you need to get the most out of a joint practice.
Do you need to talk them more? Do they need to understand what you're trying to do, why they're coming over the top, why they're making the cut here? That they're just, you just see it in their eyes that they just don't know what the hell they're doing. They didn't have that football education that they need yet, or in this scheme, if you will. Well, you ready? I've got my list here because I don't have all the conferences memorized. You probably do. I would imagine. You want to do some predictions? You want to throw it out there? Who you think's going to be the top of each heap?
Sure.
All right, so here we go. You want to start AFC or NFC first? Which one you want to go
Doesn't
first?
matter to me, Scott. Whatever you want to do.
You know them all. We'll go with AFC first. So we'll go AFC North, Baltimore, Cincinnati. This is for everybody else, not for you. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Who's going to come out on top here?
Well, first of all, Pittsburgh won it last year, 10-7 with Aaron Rodgers. I think if Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow stay healthy, they're going to be in first and second. I think the Bengals will win it if Burrow stays healthy. That's a big if. And if they can avoid what's become a traditional slow start. Baltimore, which lost a lot of players in free agency, they just couldn't afford to re-sign them. They're second. I think Pittsburgh's third and Cleveland's destined to finish fourth. It's a good division, but not a great division. It's a competitive division, maybe the most physical in football. And but I don't think a team from that division is a Super Bowl contender.
Right. All right. I'm picking Baltimore, and from there, I'm not picking anything else. I think the transition from Tomlin to the new coach is going to be too insurmountable for this year. I do think Aaron Rodgers will retire this year. He'll just like, I just don't need this anymore. I just don't need it anymore. That's my take on that.
Well, he's already announced he's done after this season. I guess he wants a tour with rocking chairs brought to him.
Right. The farewell tour. Yeah. Some people like the farewell tour and some people don't. And I don't know.
For a guy that says he doesn't like attention, he sure does a lot of things to get attention.
Doesn't he, though? I was thinking the same thing. AFC South, we got Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Tennessee. I'll go first on this one. I'm going to say that Houston's going to win out, that Jacksonville's going to be nipping at their heels the whole season. Indianapolis is going to be third, and Tennessee is going to be dead last.
Last time the Jaguars won the division, they won a playoff game, beat the Chargers with a great comeback. Then they didn't make the playoffs. So I think they're good. I think Liam Cohen is a hell of a coach. But I'm going with the Texans to win the division, Jaguars to earn a wild card berth, and the Colts somewhere around 8 and 9, and Titans a distant last.
So you don't think the Colts could be the dark horse coming in?
No.
They just don't have it. Okay. AFC West, we got Denver, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. I think this is probably one of the most competitive divisions, having Denver and Kansas City in there. Las Vegas is hungry. Los Angeles Chargers, for those that didn't know that, always seems to be competitive. I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm going with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs bounce back. I think Patrick Mahomes is healthy. The key is, can Steve Spagnuolo still be a great defensive coordinator? With a defense that's gotten old, can they fix their offensive line? Some of the head cases at wide receiver, can they keep their heads screwed on right? But this time last year, Patrick Mahomes coming off the Super Bowl, and injuries had a lot to do with it. But I think they'll bounce back because Andy Reid's a great coach, and Mahomes is one of the all-time great quarterbacks. And I think the Broncos will be second. If a team the Chiefs wins that division, it's going to be the Broncos. They've got a great coach in Sean Payton. Chargers, I think they got a good chance to be a wild card team. Raiders coming off 3 victories, first pick in the draft for Fernando Mendoza, who won't be playing anytime soon. They'll be bringing up the rear. And I told people who cover the Raiders when they were here for the joint practice in the game last week, if they could just win 5 or 6 games, people out there should be excited about the direction of the team under Clint Kubiak. And it's next year that people get their hopes up. If you're not going to be a playoff contender and the Raiders are not, go ahead and be terrible and get a higher draft choice.
Sage words. I'm going to go, I got to go dead even with you with Kansas City. I just think Andy Reid and his system and his coaching staff and his players buy into his system. He's got the magic wand. Last year, injuries totally killed their run. And there you go. I totally agree with you on this one. Not that I don't agree with all the other ones, but I got opinions too. AFC East. Yours are factual though. AFC East. We got Buffalo, Miami, New England, New York. I'm thinking. I don't know what's going on with New England, but I always like Buffalo. I always think Buffalo is going to be in the hunt. The question is, with their coaching change, correct me if I'm wrong, they fired their coach last year, right? That was last year.
Yeah, they fired McDermott and elevated Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so they're going to run the same They're going to run the same everything, except they got a different coach. Is that going to be enough to get them over the hump?
Well, they're a Super Bowl contender every year. They're going to run away with the division. I don't think New England will make the playoffs. Usually the Super Bowl loser struggles. Look at Kansas City last year. They haven't had a Super Bowl loser make the Super Bowl since the Patriots made it 1 year in back-to-back seasons. They just, for whatever reason, have a hangover, a bad one. The Patriots' schedule is brutal. I think they will miss, all 3 teams in that division will miss the playoffs other than Buffalo. Last year, New England capitalized on the easiest schedule in 25 years. Now they have the hardest in 25 years.
And then we got poor Miami's got a new coach and no Tyreek Hill.
They're rebuilding. They want to be bad. And I feel bad for Malik Willis going there, but he got $25 million that he wasn't going to get in Green Bay. But Miami's terrible. The Jets are terrible. People are fired up about the Jets. I don't know why, other than the fact they got 3 number ones and a great chance to get whoever's the best quarterback in next year's draft. If they don't earn the distinction, they got number 1 picks that they can deal.
Right. So they're in a rebuilding mode. But New York's been in a rebuilding mode pretty much for a long time. I mean,
That's the truth.
They had Aaron Rodgers for a short spell, but it really didn't work out.
Their problem is Woody Johnson, their owner. Woody is just a terrible owner.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna follow your lead on Buffalo. I do like Buffalo. I do think Buffalo is going to be playing harder for their new stadium for their fans because they have a new stadium because they've been paying in that other piece of crap for so long. This looks like it's a nicer piece of crap. So we'll hear about that. I've got a friend, he's on the wall also, that's got season tickets up there, so he's going to tell me all about it. He told me to come up there. I'll take you to a game. It's like it's New York. That's the problem.
We just picked 4 new division champions in the AFC.
Okay. Next up, NFC North, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota.
Best division in the NFL, top to bottom. The best divisions are always based on the worst team. Like with AFC West, you have the Raiders. That can't be. But there's not a bad team. There's not a mediocre team in the AFC North. It's the most competitive. A lot of people are picking Chicago. Last year, I picked Detroit and Buffalo in the Super Bowl. Detroit didn't even make the playoffs. Green Bay hasn't really done anything that makes me think they're going to the Super Bowl. Micah Parsons won't be back till he says the Dallas game, but he doesn't have any idea. And Chicago, I like what Caleb Williams did last year. I think Johnson's a terrific coach. And something that I'm the only person I know that talks about this. In 2023, when C.J. Stroud was a rookie, and everybody said he may have had the best rookie season of any quarterback. I never thought that, but a lot of people thought it. On the team as a backup was Case Keenum. Case Keenum, they don't re-sign him. He goes to the Bears last year. What quarterback was the most improved in the NFL? Caleb Williams. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. And he's back. So I think Caleb Williams will be even better. I think the Bears will defend the championship. I think the Lions will be second. And I think people are fired up in Minnesota about Kyler Murray. I don't know why. He didn't do squat in Arizona. So I'm picking Minnesota last again. But they could all have a winning record. But I'm going with the Bears because Case Keenum, when he's done, he can coach in the NFL or he can go back to U of H. And I think, and I just make this prediction, whenever Willie retires as the head coach at U of H, his replacement will be Case Keenum.
I think that'd be a spectacular choice for U of H.
Willie's not going anywhere anytime soon, and that gives Case a chance once he's retired, and he's got a lot of money. And Case could come back and be quarterback's coach, then coordinator, and then they elevate him. And Willie Fritz is a great coach, man. I wish Baylor could hire a guy like Willie. I wish Baylor could hire Willie, but winning 10 games last season, that rebuild is a season ahead of where everybody thought it would be. And they added Michael Bishop, who brought Keyshawn Henderson, the quarterback from Legacy High School, is one of the best in the country. So they're loaded at 2 quarterbacks. And then they brought Michael Bishop. He kept Tom Brady on the bench. He was 13 quarterback in 2000 for the Patriots when he was the backup to Drew Bledsoe. And I think Michael's a great recruiter, and I think he's a really good coach. And so Willie Fritz has made a lot of great moves since he got to U of H. And that's where I think Case Keenum will go in a couple of years, maybe next year after his career ends.
Right. Well, I'm going to follow your lead on Chicago. I like Chicago. I really was rooting for them last year when they were making their playoff run. I was really disappointed they didn't go further. But that kind of made sense. But also, I agree with you with the Minnesota with the year after hangover or whatever you want to call it. The repeat, it's an uphill struggle because everything's a challenge second year. NFC South, Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. What are you thinking here?
Flip a coin. Usually I go with the team that has the quarterback. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback. People got all excited last year about Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore goes there as a head coach, and they do better than people thought. And Carolina won the division at 8-9, but I'm going with Baker Mayfield. Baker has always played best when he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's got a big chip on his shoulder because he's not getting that contract extended for the money he wants. And I think he will play his butt off. And even though they let Mike Evans go to the 49ers, and I still don't understand it, I'm going with Tampa Bay over Carolina. And then I would have the Falcons third because they are loaded with skill position players. I can't imagine Tua Tagovailoa is going to bounce back. Michael Penix is just getting cleared to return to full speed workouts after suffering, I think, a third torn ACL in his career, first two in college. But Atlanta does have a prolific offense if they can find a quarterback to throw the ball. But I'm going with Baker, and Baker having that big old chip, he makes that, as Johnny Manziel told me in 2014 before the draft, if the Cowboys don't draft me number one, that chip on my shoulder is going to look like a Frito turned into a Dorito.
Amen. I'm going with you. I've enjoyed watching Tampa Bay play. I enjoyed when the GOAT was there, and I enjoyed what they did to redo their system for him. And then when Baker stepped in, it was different, but the same. You know what I mean? They still had high energy. They weren't as stressed. The players weren't as stressed because they had Baker, but they got shit done, and they won some games. So I was disappointed in their playoff run last year, but this year I think the chip is going to do it. Let's see. The NFC West, Arizona, Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco, Seattle. I'm a lead off, and I'm going to jump right into the fire, and I'm going to say Seattle. That's what I'm going to go with.
Well, I'm going with the Rams. Almost everybody's going with the Rams. It's hard for a team to repeat as Super Bowl champions. Arizona's terrible. People think they'll be competing for the first overall pick, and this is it should be a great draft for quarterbacks. Although with NIL, quarterbacks can make more returning to college than they can in the NFL unless you're drafted in the top half of the first round. So that division, 49ers, they got an owner soliciting hookers. They got a coach coming off a bad concussion, but they still have talent. And Robert Saleh, when he went back last year, he did a great job coaching that defense for Kyle Shanahan. So I think 49ers will be third. Those three teams, you talk about rivalries. Right now, the Rams and the Seahawks are the best rivalry in the NFL. I love watching the Seahawks on Hard Knocks. And when those teams play, boy, it's going to be like old school football. They're physical, and even though quarterbacks can throw the ball, both of them should have great defenses. So I'm going with the Rams, Scott. You go with Seattle. Either one could win it.
I'm going to retract that because funny thing, so I create these, and I'll get you one. We'll figure that out when we finish. So I do these calendars that have the football schedule on it. And this year I opted to do two teams. I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to pick an AFC team, and I'm going to pick an NFC team. So you probably guessed who my AFC team is, Houston Texans. My NFC team I picked was Los Angeles Rams. So wouldn't it be fun if they matched up in the Super Bowl? We'll get to that in a minute, but that's kind of my thought. Last but not least, NFC East, Dallas, New York Giants, Philadelphia, and Washington. Dallas with my boy Von Miller, who we both, well, you've probably met him before, but that was my first time meeting him at the Texas Sport Hall of Fame. I'm excited for Dallas. I don't think it's their year. So I'm going to go with a rebuilding Philadelphia, who's a little hungry because they got kind of slapped last year. And that's who I'm going to go with, and that's why.
I think you've picked all the NFC first place teams, and I'm going against the Eagles. I'm going with the Cowboys. They got a great offense, got really dynamic skill position players. Dak Prescott's a great quarterback. Their line's got to be better, and their defense, they have a new coordinator. They have a couple players back. They did well in the draft. I predict Caleb Downs will be the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I think the Cowboys are going to win it. Eagles, this is why I'm down on the Eagles. Jeff Stoutland's one of the all-time great offensive line coaches. And he left. They brought in Sean Mannion as the new coordinator. Stoutland had been the running game coordinator and a great line coach. So he didn't like the fact that that part was being taken away. So he's out of football this year. When he decides to come back next year, teams will line up to get Jeff Stoutland. And I think that's going to hurt him. Jalen Hurts has had a different coordinator in like 7 of his last 8 years going back to high school before he went to Alabama and Oklahoma and the Eagles. Nick Sirianni changes coordinators. If they're good, they're gone as head coaches. If they're not, they're fired and they start over. What they have put on Jalen Hurts just boggles my mind.
That's
and
correct.
I think they'll make the playoffs, but I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. All those Cowboy fans will get their hopes up, and then they'll get crushed in the playoffs.
Every year.
I love to see the Cowboys and the Longhorns fans get crushed in the playoffs.
Right. It's too funny. All right, so round us out. Who's going to go to the Super Bowl? I kind of already told you what I that was my pick. My pick's Texans and Rams. So who are you going with?
See, I must have had a short there. You said the Rams and who?
Texans. I picked the Texans.
Ooh, I didn't have a short.
No, I'm going Homer on that. I'm going Homer.
There's a lot of people around the country picking the Texans, and I'm like, how can you pick the Texans Super Bowl with this offense? We don't know squat about the offensive line. I did my regular Monday spot with Texans radio this morning, and they were talking about the offensive line being improved. I said, how do you know? It's not improved till we see that it is. Last year at this time, Cam Robinson, left tackle, Lakin Tomlinson, left guard, 2 longtime veterans. Boy, we thought those positions had been solidified. Robinson's gone after the first game because he can't play anymore. Lakin Tomlinson was gone after the 5th or 6th. I don't think either one of them's in the NFL right now. Now, they've got 4 new players. Wyatt Teller's going to get cut. He's been terrible. Keelan Rutledge has moved back to guard, his normal position. Their starting offensive line right now looks to be the one that started against the Raiders. That's Ursery and Brown at tackle, Evan Brown at center, Rutledge and Ed Ingram at guard. And Braden Smith not starting after what they paid him to come from Indy. I'm glad they don't make decisions based on money. But what we know, Scott, the 5 that start, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be poor play, and so there will be changes at some point. But there's just too many questions to me. I think the running game, David Montgomery may have been, well, he was one of the best trades of the offseason because they want him because he runs for touchdowns. Last year, he had, in a part-time role, 8 rushing touchdowns. Texans had 9. His last 3 years in Detroit, 2 as a backup, 33 rushing touchdowns. Texans had 34. They are a terrible running team last year, but in all fairness, Joe Mixon was in the witness protection program. They never saw him, never heard from him, so they did not have the running back who had scored double-digit touchdowns the year before, so I have some sympathy for him. And C.J. Stroud has to bounce back. I think he will. But, boy, that first game against Buffalo, he cannot be bad. He can't come out and pick up where he left off at New England. Until I see them do it, and until I see them, Scott, get beyond the divisional round of the playoffs for the first time in their history, for the first time by a Houston team since the 79 Oilers, I'm not picking them for the Super Bowl. They have us, unless the defense could just play the whole game.
Well, they scored a lot of touchdowns against Pittsburgh last year.
I tell you what, Scott, the playoff game at New England, we knew the weather was going to be bad. You had a young quarterback in Drake May. The defense had scored 2 touchdowns at Pittsburgh. So why did they throw the ball? Why did they ask Stroud to throw? Just hand it off, throw short passes. And Stroud, of course, was awful. He lost his confidence. They had a pick 6. And Drake May was awful. They just terrorized Drake May. But Stroud was worse. And so they should, if they had come out, handed the ball off 3 times and punt, they would have had a better chance to win that game. So I blame Nick Caley as much as I do Stroud. Now, Caley is a second-year play caller, second-year offensive coordinator. His system was totally different from Bobby Slowick, and his system puts a lot of pressure mentally on the quarterback, just like Sean McVay and Josh McDaniels. So the fact that Stroud's been in that system now, he should have adjusted to it better. But that offense is still a work in progress.
So do you think in your years of covering football, do you find that a quarterback is more successful if you create the offense for the quarterback, or the quarterback has to adjust to the offense?
The worst thing that I see is coaches who make quarterbacks adjust to them if that quarterback can't handle it. You know, they need, before they came in and install that offense. Here's an example. Sean McVay had Jared Goff. They lost the Super Bowl. Goff wasn't very good. Wasted Wade Phillips' great defensive performance against Tom Brady. And he goes to Cabo. He sees Matthew Stafford. He and his wife, and Stafford and his wife, they party together, dinner and all that. And obviously they talk football. And whatever Stafford talked to McVay about, it made McVay think that is the quarterback who can handle what I want done mentally. And they made the trade. And it's worked out great for Goff because he doesn't have that system that the Rams had. So sometimes Jared Goff had trouble with it. Sometimes you can't force things down a quarterback's throat. And if the quarterback can't do it, you got to get another quarterback. In this case, it'd be easier to get another offensive coordinator. So they made a total adjustment on what they did. CJ has to call protection schemes and all that. I don't like the quarterback calling things the center ought to be calling. But Stroud likes it. He wanted it. And we'll see, because after this season, if they struggle again offensively and they're inconsistent, it won't be Stroud that's gone. It'll be Caley, who follows Bobby Slowick out the door.
All right. With that being said, who is your AFC representative?
Well, I pick them almost every year, Buffalo. I think it's going to be the Rams and the Bills. And I would really like to see the Lions and the Bills because of the 2 long-suffering fan bases. The Lions haven't won a championship since the 50s. The Bills haven't won a championship since the Cookie Gilchrist-led Bills won the AFL in 1964, which was also the last year the Browns won a championship under Blanton Collier in the NFL. So I'd like to see Detroit and Buffalo, but I'm picking the Rams and the Bills. And I don't know if the Bills fans could withstand another loss. They'd be jumping off buildings onto those tables instead of back of their trucks. So I'm thinking the Bills are going to upset the Rams in the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen's going to be MVP after starting the season 0-1.
There you go. Got to be 0-1 because Texans are going to beat them. Well, John, I appreciate you. You got any good stories from me from preseason? You're out there. You're in the trenches. Got anything funny for us?
Scott, I don't look for funny. Mostly I spend talking to people because every practice to me looks the same. I listen to D'Amico, and D'Amico's like, well, I didn't like the way we practiced today. Well, why? And he doesn't really have reasons. A lot of times it's motivation to get them ready and more pumped up about going for the joint practice at Carolina. Everybody's thinking about the regular season. Nobody's thinking about this last preseason game except some undrafted rookies, mamas, daddies, brothers, sisters, and girlfriends. But, it was a tough blow on Jaden Higgins because since the end of last season, and they came back from the off-season program with OTAs.
John's frozen for a second. He'll be right back with us, so just hang tight. We'll get that Jaden Higgins story from him when he gets unfrozen. Unfortunately, it's the internet and it happens. So here we go.
Everybody said Jaden Higgins was the most improved player throughout the offseason, but if losing a second-year receiver is going to cost you a Super Bowl, you weren't a Super Bowl contender anyway. And getting Kayshon Boutte, who had 6 touchdown catches last year, same as Higgins, I think was a really good deal. Can't wait to see the kid in play. And Nick Caley has got to be breathing a sigh of relief to get a hungry third-year receiver going into a contract year. Knows he's auditioning every game, every play. You can't ask for a better situation.
Well, I 100% agree with what you said about Nick Caley in the offense. They've got to do a better job. They just can't. They seem too timid, too not aggressive at all. It's like, okay, we didn't get what we wanted down 1, so now we're gonna punt. What? We got 3 more downs. Let's use all of them. I'd almost like to see him not punt the damn ball and go for it every time, because at least you show me you got some guts.
I'd rather see him punt and put the defense on the field. Because you know what they say, Scott, defense wins.
Defense wins championships. Absolutely, 100%. So I do have one. I don't know if you have time to watch movies, but if you have time and you got some downtime and you want to watch a movie, I had the director, writer on the channel. He's right up here. His name's Glenn Owen, for the movie called Signing Tony Raymond. And it's a movie about a high school phenom being picked at by all these colleges want to recruit him. It's based in Alabama, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's got Mira Sorvino. It's got Marshawn Lynch is in it. It's got your boy Bosworth's in it also. Which was the Boz. Yeah.
Good. I'll check it out. Thank you.
And hang tight in the back room. You got any last thoughts for us?
It's going to be a great season by the Texans. I predicted they'll go 13-4. We will see them in their first AFC championship game in Houston since '79, and they will lose the AFC championship game on the road. And next year, they'll be a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
All right. I like to hear that. I like those words. All right. Hang tight. Clicking the buttons seemed to be my always problem. It always seems to be my problem. But my problem's not with football. I got my friend John McClain set me straight, getting my head screwed on right. I appreciate him taking the time to meet with us. Hey, it's been Scott with Rafters, Sports and Movies. This game's over, but hang out for the next one.